Hello, everybody. Welcome to what is it? The fourth, I think, episode of Hero Friday. If you're not counting the Nobushka lesson, we did one with Setmyx already, but Setmyx here again, and there's nobody else playing Gladiator, but it's fine. We did already one with about Kensei, Warden, and Berserker, and today it's time for Gladiator. Hello Setmyx, for anyone who hasn't maybe hasn't watched the Warden video. Who are you and why are you here?
Hello, I am Setmyx. I am one of the best competitive players in For Honor.
Well, humble.
Very humble. My main character is Warden, but I also play PK, Kensei, and Gladiator a lot. So yeah, and I'm here to bring the Gladiator character a bit closer to you and explain what you have to do with them.
Wow, so nice. Okay, so yeah, just like the usual, the format is just the same as usual. We start with 1v1. The character, by the way, full disclaimer before we start, Gladiator is a 1v1 character, right? He's not very good or very strong or suited to playing 2v2 and 4v4, but you can still of course play him that way. But 1v1 is where he shines on the tier list at the high level. So we will be talking about that in great detail, and then of course moving on to 2v2 and 4v4, but I just wanted to let you guys know that this is where he shines. Alright, so let's start Gladiator. So first, as I said, let's start with 1v1. So what's the general playstyle that I want to be going for as Gladiator in 1v1?
So the Gladiator has something that not a lot of characters have, and it's a really high movement speed while locked on. So what you want to do with Gladiator the most is definitely space. That's what you want to do the most. The thing is, all your moves have really good tracking, have really good reach, really good hitboxes, and you're a really fast character, so that means you're definitely a spacing god, basically. So it doesn't matter who you play against, doesn't matter if it's a Kong, doesn't matter if it's a Warden, you can almost in every single matchup control the spacing with your speed. You have really far dodges, as you can see. They're also quite fast. So what you want to do is you keep your opponent at a certain distance. The thing is, with Gladiator, your heavies have quite the far reach. Even though they don't look like it, they track quite far for a heavy attack. So what you want to do is mostly is you kind of want to bait out reactions with your zone attack, because that is your unblockable move that is quite hard to dodge. The thing is, most people, the zone attack creates a lot of neutral pressure, which means people will definitely look for that move specifically. So when you go for light attacks or heavy attacks, they might try to dodge those, but that's going to be on a totally different timing, because those attacks are faster and have different trackings. So for example, if you side dodge, my zone attack won't track in any way. So if you side dodge, tracking, okay, I did it too early. Okay, it's a bit retarded on the timing, but the thing is, if you dodge and I press zone attack during your dodge, it won't track. The thing is, I'm mistiming it right now, so it's tracking properly. So, but your heavy attacks kind of track every single dodge, and your opponent will have to block those attacks. It's not really possible for most characters to parry those on reaction. So the thing is, if you know your opponent is going to dodge, you can go for a heavy and it will most likely track the dodge. But if you end up whiffing the heavy, you can follow up with a toe stab, which they can not dodge, and they can also parry it. Well, obviously can parry it, but yeah, you get my point. They can dodge it, is what I was trying to say. So, but the main core of this character is definitely his zone attack. The thing is about his zone attack is not punishable by every character in this game at the moment. I think the only characters that can consistently punish without trading are, I think, Orochi, and I'm not sure if Valkyrie still can.
I mean, I think the way it works with Gladzone is that if you have a quick enough dash attack, and that happens quick enough into the dash, then you can punish it. But some characters cannot do it consistently on reaction. So a character like Shaman can do it just fine, but then characters like Valk may have some difficulties doing the dash attack, or yeah, characters like that might have difficulties. It's still possible, it's just that people on matchmaking will not be able to do it, is basically the point. But also at high level, like Valks or even Orochis, like it's a pretty slow dash attack, so it can be difficult to do it on reaction to the zone. So, alright, so continue.
Yeah. So if you go for a punish on the Gladstone, you have to be really careful because it really depends how early you dodge the Gladstone. If you dodge it rather late and you try to punish it, you will end up trading or not trading at all and you get hit by the second part of his own attack. So always be careful if you try to actually go for a punish. Unless you play, like I said, one of those characters that can safely go for a Shaman or a Orochi. So yeah, that's basically your main pressure tool. You want to go for zone attacks. You definitely want to space a lot. That's the general playstyle of Gladiator.
Okay, so I'm sorry, so I just need to fix something up in my room. All right, so so that's Glad and something's not okay. Something's not right here. But either way, so that's the general playstyle. But for example, you didn't mention any chains or anything like that. Do I ever want to use them, or are they just not good moves?
Well, usually chains, you don't really want to go for chains. Light chains are really terrible. They usually just get parried, so there's really not really a point.
Yeah, very
exactly.
slow.
There's not really a point to go for those. The thing is, if you whiff your first heavy attack, you can kind of go for a second heavy because it has a really low GB vulnerability. But generally, I don't recommend it. You can just go for a skewer as well, which is the backwards heavy, because I think it has the same GB vulnerability, and the punish you get for a skewer is higher than just a regular heavy.
Okay.
But generally, if they block your heavy or if you hit with your heavy, I do not recommend to go for a second attack.
Alright, so that's the general playstyle of Glad in 1v1. What about when someone's out of stamina, for example? What do I want to be doing? Is there anything specifically in terms of out of stamina pressure that I want to be doing?
Yes. So most people think that the best out of stam pressure for Glad is his zone attack, which is completely wrong, because people will be expecting zone attacks and they will dodge it on reaction pretty much all the time. The thing is, if your opponent is out of stamina, you do want to go in your chain. That's like the only time you actually want to start your chains. You can start your chain either with a light attack, because lights don't bounce off block if your opponent is out of stamina, and then follow up with a skewer. You can go for a heavy and go into skewer as well. And what you really want to practice is to delay your feint on skewer. Skewer is your best out of stamina pressure tool there is, because it's not really reactable. It deals a lot of damage if it hits, and it can bait out a parry attempt as well. You have to be careful, because if opponents dodge early, it will whiff, because the tracking on side dodges is pretty bad. You can make a read and feint into guard break and catch a dodge.
I see. Okay, so when it comes to delayed feints, guys, I will again, if you haven't watched the previous video I did with Clashmeister on Zerker, and we mentioned delaying feints there as well. So if you're watching on YouTube, I'll make sure to put that video of Reese, who made the video about delaying feints, into the description, so then you can educate yourself on what that is. But alright, so that's 1v1 with Gladiator in general. Now, what about some of his matchups? Are there any difficult matchups, any matchups that you want to be playing differently, and anything like that?
Yes, so there's a few matchups that are different than the usual matchups. For the best example is PK. PK is a really fast character, and most people believe that PK is favored against Gladiator because of her fast zone attack and because of the speed of her heavies, because it's quite difficult to deal with those attacks with the reflex guard of Gladiator. In that matchup, you can't really space as well as you can in other matchups, because PK's zone attack has insane tracking on all dodge directions.
Okay.
So what you generally want to do is, you do want to look out for the zone attack, mostly keep your guard on the right if you can. So it will require a good reaction time, because most of the time you will have to block the zone attack on reaction. And there's also the difficulty of her bleed step, which is also 400 milliseconds. So in that particular matchup, you have to be really careful, because if you go for option select, for example, and you try to option select a parry on light timing, the raw heavy will hit your zone before it connects to the PK. So what you want to do is, in that matchup, it's kind of difficult, because the thing is, if you go for zone attacks, PK can punish it if she dodges really, really early, which is mostly on read and not on reaction.
Okay.
But if she ends up dodging and try to dodge attack on reaction to your zone attack, you will 90% of the time you will end up trading, or not trading at all, and you will just hit her with the second part of your zone attack. So what you want to practice is, you want to practice to react if the PK goes for a dodge attack after your zone attack. So your general playstyle against PK is, you block attacks left and right, then you go for occasional zone attacks, and most likely heavy attacks. I don't recommend light attacks against PK.
Okay.
And you want to work with heavy feints, because most people will dodge on your heavy feint expecting a zone attack, and if they end up dodging on the heavy timing, you're gonna free toe step every single time. It does require a decent reaction time, but it's always guaranteed. So yeah, like that you can play around PK's dodge attacks. It will track dodge attacks as well if you heavy feint in the toe step, and then mix it up with zone attack. But you have to play really slow and block attacks, because PK has the potential to interrupt you on every single thing you do.
Okay. So in general, what you mentioned there about knowing what if the PK has reacted quickly enough or not with her dash attack to cancel a zone or not. So in general, could you talk a little bit about when you cancel your zone, when you don't? Like obviously, if it misses, you probably don't want to go for it always. But then sometimes if it misses, you're okay with letting it go, right? So in what situations would you want to let it go?
Well, you will have to make a read.
Okay.
You have to make a read. So against Conqueror, for example, sometimes you can let it go because they will try to bash you after they dodge your zone attack. And if you let the second part just go, you will hit them out of their bash before the bash hits you. Okay. So you will have to make a read on your opponent. You will have to make to read. You have to see if he's actually trying to punish your zone attack. And if he's not trying to punish it, you can just feint every single time. But if you see him dodge into a bash occasionally, just let it go occasionally. Some people, if you practice it enough, you might be able to do it as well, can react to opponent movements. So they can actually react if the opponent is trying to punish your zone attack or not. But it is a really tight reaction, so it does require a lot of practice.
Alright, so mostly on read.
Mostly on read, yes.
It's dependent on the matchup. Like you said, with PK or with Conqueror, some things like that. If you think or maybe if the player has dodged so late that maybe they cannot block it or something. For whatever reason, then
that just reminds me, I think we have to mention, if your opponent back dodges your zone attack, that happens for example against Wardens. If they back dodge your zone attack, let the second part go every single time, because it will either hit if their guard is not on the side of where the zone comes from, the second part, or if their guard is there, they still can't parry it because they're still in back dodge recovery. So it's safe every single time if they back dodge.
Okay. Alright, that's a big tip. Okay. So any other matchups you want to talk about? There's a
matchup I also want to mention is the Conk matchup. The Conk matchup is quite Gladiator favored. I've seen a lot of people say Conk cannot punish Glad Zone, but that's actually not true. If the Conk dodges early enough, he can bash you, and he will get the bash guaranteed no matter if you feint or not. So if you play against a Conqueror, you can still control spacing, as we mentioned earlier. So you definitely want to space, you definitely want to keep your distance. I will recommend to be out of distance for guard breaks. But the thing is, with Gladiator, his zone attack has no GB vulnerability. Which means you definitely want to practice to react to GBs with your zone attack. Of course, you have to be careful because zone attack drains a lot of stamina. So you don't want to out of stamina zone yourself against a Conk, because Conk's out of stamina pressure is insane. But in that particular matchup, if you keep your distance, you can react to forward dodge into guard break with a zone attack, and otherwise just pretty much always just side dodge and evade his shield bash. And on every dodge shield bash, you get a guaranteed dodge attack.
Alright, so let's show that Zero has guard break vulnerability. So I will guard break you a few times, and you just zone, and then I do the same for when you guard break.
Okay.
There, like on my screen, it looked like I guard broke you, but that's what Zero has guard break vulnerability looks like. Let's play a little bit for your stamina.
Okay.
Right. Oh.
Oops, my bad.
Yep, and now let's try with me, so people can see. See, it's a very easy reaction. Hopefully that's fixed, by the time, maybe if you're watching this next year or something, 2019, hopefully it's fixed. But right now, as of this, or as of making this video, as of streaming right now, well, it's still, and it's been the case since the beginning of Gladiator, let's say. The zone 0 has guard break vulnerability, which means you can option select very easily with it, and means that you can counter guard breaks with it pretty much. So if you see a guard break and you have enough stam, like you full stam or something like that, just press your zone attack. Especially if you're on keyboard where you can have just one button. That's actually a neat trick that you can use as long as you're good with it. We can have counter guard break or guard break in general. Oh yeah, counter guard break and zone on the same button. on the keyboard, and you can just press 1, and if you're too late, you will just counter guard break, and if you're in 1v1 special, and if you're not too late, you will just zone. But you can just do that as well on controller just fine. Just zone anytime you see a guard break, as long as you have as long as you have enough stam. And someone asked, does Toast Up have guard break vulnerability? And yes, it has 100 MS guard break vulnerability, like most other attacks. Alright, so any other matchups, or is that about it?
I think worth mentioning is also the Warden matchup, because it's a character that is played by a lot of people. So the Warden matchup, the thing is, Gladiator dominates Warden in every single way. There is nothing a Warden can do if the Gladiator plays optimally. So the thing is, Gladiator's zone always comes out unbuffered. So it's 533 milliseconds every single time. So that means if you see a Warden side dodge and you time your zone or your toe stab in that case in the right time, then you can punish every single dodge the Warden performs. Another thing worth mentioning here is, usually if you guard break a Warden, he gets a free back dodge into shoulder bash, and you can't do anything about it. If you try to punish it, you will get punished yourself by the shoulder bash. But Gladiator is the opposite. If you guard break a Warden and he back dodges into a shoulder bash, you can buffer your heavy after a counter guard break, and your heavy will connect every single time. The Warden can't block it, he can't parry it, he can't dodge it. If he goes into back dodge shoulder bash, your heavy is guaranteed.
Okay.
So that's definitely worth mentioning.
Alright, thank you. So if you're playing against someone, against a Warden who back dodges a lot, for example after a guard break, just in general, you can throw some heavies, as they do have really good track and really good range, as we've shown, Albedilia. Yeah, Warden cannot punish your zone, right? So
correct. Warden can go into a shoulder bash, so he can kinda start a mix-up if he dodges your zone attack, but it's risky to do that because he could get hit by the second part of the zone attack,
right,
but he doesn't have a safe guaranteed punish.
Alright, so it's a mix-up kind of like Conk, right?
Yeah, kind of like Conk.
Alright, so it's a mix-up kind of like Conk, so as long as you're full stam, then you can use the zone and then wait for your stam to come back, and then you can initiate your pressure again. Okay, anything else?
I think that's pretty much it.
Alright, so that's about it for 1v1 in terms of gameplay in general, general playstyle and matchup. Someone was asking about the Shinobi matchup, but I don't know if there's much to really say about that one.
Well, there's like not a lot of things you can say about the Shinobi matchup. The thing is, if you play against an optimal Shinobi who will only slide tackle and nothing else, it's a really frustrating and annoying matchup, but definitely one Gladiator can win.
Yeah, like the thing is that the way Shinobi plays at the highest level is so much different from the way that Shinobi plays at matchmaking level that I feel like mentioning that would be kind of pointless. I will though, if you want to know how Shinobi plays at high level, I will have a link in the description if you're watching this on YouTube, and you can watch how that plays out. Not necessarily the Glad matchup, I think it's the PK that you played against, right? The PK Shinobi, but either way, you'll be able to see how Shinobi is supposed to be played at the highest level, and so because of that, that's a lot different from the way matchmaking plays. Alright, so when it comes to matchups and general 1v1 plays, that's about it. Now let's move on to punishes. Just different, obviously. If you got a light parry, of course you got a heavy and things like that. And if you get a heavy parry, do you zone or do you dash attack? I've seen people do both. What do you do?
Yeah, it kind of depends. Usually, if your opponent has a lot of stamina, it really doesn't matter. You kind of want to watch your own stamina, of course. So if you're like below half stamina, always go for the dodge light for the 20 damage. Both deal the same amount of damage, and you use less stamina for it. But usually, if you parry a heavy attack and your opponent already had attacked you before, he will go low on stam with that parry. So if you parry his heavy attack, I recommend going for a zone attack, because zone drains quite a bit of stamina, and you can sometimes put him out of stam with it, which means you can start and initiate your pressure with your skewer chain again. So always watch your own stam, watch your opponent's stam, and then use whatever you find appropriate for the situation.
Okay, and also worth to mention, if you have Haymaker on, 100% go for the zone, right?
Yes, in Force, with Haymaker feat, you should always go for the zone, it's more damage.
Yeah. Okay, so that's the very basic punishes, but then what about out of stamina punishes, revenge punishes? What do I want to do with that?
So yeah, revenge punishes, you get a light into a heavy attack,
Alright, about the revenge punishes, we can do that in a bit because I forgot to have revenge on here. So let's move on to out of stand punishes, then we can kind of cycle back around.
The out of stand punishes are a bit special for Gladiator. So the thing is, if you parry someone and that parry puts them out of stamina, could be a heavy attack too.
Right.
Then
sorry, I didn't mean to parry you. I will do that now.
You get a free toe step. Toe step is guaranteed, and you get a free heavy attack as well.
That's 40 damage.
So, exactly.
Whoa.
So that's important because you always want to do that if the parry puts your opponent out of stamina.
Alright, I will do that now. Go out of stamina.
Okay.
I'll try and... Alright.
Yep.
Yeah,
and then you can continue your chain with a skewer afterwards. So
okay. Okay. So that's one. But what if they're already out of stamina? For example, let's try a throw. What do I do here?
So I thought you usually want to do a dash attack, feint the heavy, go for a toe stab, and then another heavy.
Okay.
So if you feint your heavy attack, the toe stab is always guaranteed. You could also just dash light, wait, and then toe stab, but that makes it, you take the risk that you mess up the timing.
Yeah, so it's just easier this way.
Yeah, it's way easier this way.
Okay, let me try.
Okay.
Does it matter which side I throw?
The side doesn't matter, no.
Alright, yeah, so that's how we want to do it. And that's what, 20 plus 4, that's 60 damage.
Yep.
Okay,
that's 60 damage.
Is there any difference between that punish, out of stamina punish of a throw and a parry punish?
Yes.
Okay.
The difference is, I can show you. I can get a heavy attack, feint, toe stab, and another heavy.
Okay, so that's 70.
Yep, that's 70.
Alright, that's 70 damage.
It's basically the same punish with the only difference you get a heavy instead of a dash attack.
Okay, that's good to know. Alright, so about the punishes, let's move on. Oh, yeah, let's quickly show the revenge punish as well.
Yep.
Alright, so let's show the revenge punish. So I'll give you revenge.
Yep. Okay, one more hit.
All right.
Easy.
Okay, so let's try the out of the I guess I hit you and then auto knockdown punish.
Yep. Okay, heavy doesn't work. Okay, you can get a light attack, I'm pretty sure, but I think it does matter on when you activate it. But the thing is, usually you're safe to go if you go for a heavy attack. I'm pretty sure you can sneak something in between there, but I would need to further test that first. But but usually you want to go for the heavy. That's the safest way to go with.
Okay. Alright, so yeah, just do the heavy. Okay, so now we wanted to show you guys how to gank with Gladiator, as that is a big thing with him in 4v4, or of course 2v2, but mostly 4v4. So of course the way you do it is you toe step and then your teammate gets a heavy. Of course, and then the damage depends, of course, on the damage that your teammate's heavy is, but it stops their revenge from popping. So if you get a toe stab and your teammate can get the heavy, even if they have revenge, they cannot pop it in time to beat out the heavy and get the auto knockdown. So they will die, but you cannot get. I guess the downside to it is that you cannot get an execution. But we will show all of it. It's very simple, but it's important to show ganking with every character that can gank. Alright, so I'm just gonna toe step and you heavy, I guess.
Yep.
Yep. Again. Alright, now we can toe step. Yeah, you can do it in reaction to the toe step hitting as well, so you don't mess up. Alright, let's try again. So let's see. Try popping revenge kawaii. Yeah, he cannot pop revenge in time to beat it out. So that's pretty much it. That's the very simple gank, and that's very effective as well, especially in matchmaking. It does give a decent amount of revenge, but it doesn't let them pop revenge. So that's a very nice gank there. So that's a big part of what you want to be doing as a Gladiator in 4v4.
Yep. The thing is, you have to be careful though, because people can dodge those type of cores.
Yeah,
So you want to kind of confirm it with either a heavy stun or a light stun, and then continue the gank chain.
Yeah. Okay, so now let's move on to strictly 4v4, not possibly 2v2. So let's move on to feats. And now, as Gladiator, what feats do I want in 4v4?
So Gladiator has okay feats for 4v4. So his tier 1, he has to choose between Iron Lungs, Bounty Hunter, and Deadly. You usually want to go for Bounty Hunter because, as for most assassins, that's the best feat. You get health back if you kill someone. You also get stamina back if you kill someone. That's really good in team fights, especially because if you finish someone off, you get quite a bit amount of health back, which is, especially for Gladiator, quite important because he can't really defend himself as well as other characters because of his reflex guard. So Bounty Hunter is definitely the pick there.
Okay, tier 2.
Tier 2, you have Righteous Deflection, Haymaker, and Revenge attacks. All of those feats are kind of decent. Righteous is pretty good against Shaman gank because usually the Shaman bite is confirmed due to a heavy stun, and that heavy can be parried, which means the bite of Shaman will deal less damage, and so will the follow-ups. But Haymaker increases the damage of punches, kicks, and throws, which means your zone attack, your sucker punch, and all of those moves also deal damage. So if you parry a heavy attack, you deal more damage. If you zone attack, it deals more damage, and overall, it is definitely the best pick because overall it makes you a better 1v1er, a better team fighter, and just improves the overall strength of Gladiator.
There's currently sorry to interrupt you, but there's currently a bug where I'm pretty sure Haymaker doesn't apply on Sucker Punch, which is kind of sucks, but it still works, of course, on everything else. So on the zone is the biggest part. Your zone deals 30 damage, even more with gear. So that's a really strong feat there for a Gladiator. And so continue.
Yep. And revenge attacks is just like it's the same for every character that has revenge attacks. If you attack, you gain revenge. For Gladiator, that's okay, but I don't think it's a good enough feat because Gladiator doesn't really have that high of revenge pressure. So Haymaker is definitely the better pick.
Okay, now tier 3.
So tier 3, currently you can choose between either Pugno Mortis or Neptune's Wrath. Usually you want to go for Pugno Mortis at the current moment. But as we know, feats will get nerfed in Season 8, and Pugno Mortis will be nerfed as well. And we assume that in Season 8, you will probably want to run Neptune's Wrath. It has, I think, the same speed as Javelin, and I think it deals 50 damage.
Yeah,
so
it's the same speed.
Definitely a decent feat.
Yeah, it's the same speed as Javelin, it's the same damage as Javelin. Maybe it's even a little bit quicker than Javelin, actually. And the duration, sorry, not the duration, the cooldown is the same, also 2 minutes. The other feat, I do not know how to pronounce it. I'm not even gonna try. It's like kind of like a Wars Pugio. So there's like for sand. So it could be used. So if you like it, you can use it as well. But I would probably say that Neptune's Wrath is probably slightly better. Also, it works really well with all the other debuffs and buffs and things like that. So just like Javelin for Valk. All right.
Yep. Exactly. And for tier 4, there's Fear Itself, Catapult, and Roar of the Crowd. Usually want to go for Fear Itself. At the moment, Fear Itself is still extremely good. It's going to be nerfed in Season 8, but I still think it's going to be the best pick out of those 3. Catapult is going to be nerfed as well, and
yeah,
it's going to be useless.
terrible, yeah.
And Roar of the Crowd is still not good enough to compete with Fear Itself. So Fear Itself is probably still going to be the best pick.
Yeah, Fear Itself, the lower defenses part, you know, it lowers the defenses of your enemies around you. It deals more damage, let's say that way, or debuffs them more than Roar of the Crowd buffs you in terms of attack. And the duration is 5 seconds longer, so Fear Itself is just kind of strictly better. So yeah, you would probably want to run Fear Itself. Right now, there's kind of a choice between Fear Itself and Catapult. Most people I've seen run Catapult, but of course Fear Itself is also a very, very strong feat. But I think after Season 8, it's probably going to be Fear Itself. Okay, so right now this is what the feats look like. You can, of course, change Catapult there as well. And Season 8, you're probably going to be running Neptune's Wrath, or maybe the other tier 3 feat, but most likely Neptune's Wrath and Fear Itself. Alright, so that's it for the feats. Let's go into the game. And okay, so this is Gladiator in 4v4. So what's my general playstyle? Like, as I said at the beginning, and as we said at the beginning, sorry, Gladiator is not a very strong 4v4 pick, right? But he does have some things. So what are those things that he has, and kind of what's the general playstyle of Gladiator in 4v4?
Yeah, so Gladiator does have some difficulties in team fights due to his reflex cards. He can't really defend himself well. But on certain maps you can't avoid team fights at all. So if you're in a team fight, your general playstyle is you want to keep your distance, you kind of want to punish recoveries with dash attacks, sometimes with heavies depending on the distance, but you really don't want to push into the fight. You just want to stay in the back, punish people, and then see what the opponents are going to do. So you're basically an observer. But
okay.
Where Gladiator really shines is, for example, when the opponent team is trying to backcap, because usually they only send one person. And as we stated, Gladiator really shines in 1v1s. So Gladiator can probably deal the best against backcaps. You can always send him back to your home point to defend the home point against backcaps, or you send the Gladiator to backup himself. Which also works, because either situation usually ends in a 1v1. And as a Gladiator, if you end up in a 1v1, that's definitely good, because you're going to be the most useful there. Okay. Sometimes you can also go for ganks, because toe step is okay for ganks, as we showed. But usually you want to try to find yourself in 1v1 situations.
Okay. Alright, sorry for that one, guys, we had to restart really quick, but now we're back in. So you can back up and you can deal with backups pretty well as Gladiator. In team fights you don't want to be fighting too much, you kind of want to be sitting around waiting for someone to be in a recovery, and then you can go in for a dash attack. His dash attack has quite nice range in general. Well, that was a pretty nice range, almost hit. Well, no, I mean that was still okay. Well, can you move maybe, yeah. If you delay it as well, you can get a little bit more range. So, not the worst range in the game. You don't really want to use zone too much in a team fight, right? You just kind of want to be sitting there.
Yep. Sit there, punish recoveries with dash attacks, sometimes heavies, depending on the distance, of course. And then, yep, pretty much that's all.
Okay, so then we were talking about the backups, and then what else? What else do I use? Is there anything else that I can do in 4v4?
Well, not much. You can 1v1, you can gank, and your rotations are okay. You're not a slow character, so you can definitely go for objectives most of the time. You can't really clear mid effectively, so you don't really want to be in minions.
Yeah, his minion clear is not very good.
Yeah, his minion clear is pretty bad, so yeah, Gladiator is not really a good 4v4 character, so that is pretty much all he can do.
Alright, so let's show some of his feats. So obviously Bounty Hunter, we know how it works. It gives you health and stamina when you kill a hero. Haymaker, so a zone looks like this. 30 damage per zone, of course more with gear or with debuffs. Yep. Into zone. Yep, just that deals 10 damage. Now with Fear itself, for example, that deals 15 damage, and a zone, well, your zone's not gonna be, my zone is gonna be doing here 45 damage per hit with Fear itself, so that's quite nice. And then Neptune's Wrath with Fear itself, for example, would do 75 damage, and that's what it looks like. It's pretty quick. It usually does 50, but of course with something like Fear itself as a debuff or something else, it deals 75 damage. Now I'm showing this feat just because we know what, I'm sure you know what Pugna Mortis looks like, and I'll be but it will be getting nerfed, and you'll most likely be running this feat in season 8. At least that would be a much better feat probably than Pugna Mortis. It would be a choice between that and the there we go again, Neptune's Wrath. There will be a choice between that feat and the other feat that I will not try and pronounce. And so those are the choices for feats. And again, Pugna Mortis is getting nerfed, so I'll be leaving a Reddit thread in the description if you're watching on YouTube, so you can check exactly what it's going to be looking like, and it's going to be way smaller AoE and way less damage. Alright, so still about 4v4 with Glad. Do I ever want to use, for example, my skewer or my chains or things like that, toast up, or is that all of that we talked about in 1v1 kind of like, oh no, you just kind of use zone in 1v1 and you dash attack in team fights, and you sometimes toast up in ganks? Is that about it?
Yeah, it's That's pretty much about it. Using your chains in a team fight usually gets you punished, and you won't punish anybody with it either. So using it only leaves you open for punishes while not doing anything yourself. So
Alright. Okay.
yeah.
Okay. So I think that actually might be about it. Unless you have anything else to say about Gladiator in general, or something like that.
I think that is about it.
Okay, so that's gonna be about it. If you guys have, if you're watching on Twitch, if you guys have any questions in chat, you can ask them right now. And if not, then we'll just end the guide right here. It's gonna be just the shortest guide, as it is a character that is relatively simple in 1v1, at least in terms of theory. And in 4v4, there just isn't much to him. But of course, the things that he can do, we talked about. His dash attack, zone 1v1, of course, toast up we already showed as well. So if there's any questions in chat, let me know, and if not, then we're just gonna stop right here. Yeah, pretty nice range on that as well.
Yeah.
Alright, well, it seems like that's probably gonna be about it. So obviously a way shorter Hero Friday this time, but that's good. Maybe we'll be a little bit more let's say accessible for people. But yeah, thank you Setmyx for being here with me then today.
Thanks for having me.
Yeah, is there any shoutouts you would like to make? Insult Legion, something like that?
Yeah, I want to shout out Legion for being garbage at the game and for not winning a single 1v1 scrim since like 3 weeks. So congrats Legion, you're trash.
Alright, thank you very much. Thank you for being here. Thank you for continuing the tradition that you've started yourself.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
Trash Talking Legion. So yeah, thanks again for being here, and see you next time.